Welcome to All Docs on Deck, where we explore wellness, wealth, and womanhood through real conversations with women doctors across the diaspora. Another episode starts now. Hello, All Docs on Deck audience. Today's episode of All Docs on Deck is a little different and very special. You've gotten to know us as doctors, as leaders, as women committed to mental health, wellness, and healing across our communities. But today we're inviting you into a more personal space into our lives as wives. Because behind every woman doing this work, holding space, building community, advocating for healing, there are relationships that support us, that challenge us, and grow with us. So today we're bringing in the men who experience us up close, our husbands. So this conversation is going to be about perspective. What is it like to be married to a woman who holds so much for others? How does our work show up at home? How do love, wellness, friendship, and partnership intersect from their point of view? So this isn't just about us. It's going to be about expanding that conversation around wellness to include partnerships, support systems, and the real everyday dynamics behind the work. So let's get comfortable because today we're going to get to know each other a little bit differently. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Dr. Shalonda and hubby Randy. I'm so excited to be here with y'all and my hubby Shawn, of course.
Yes, we are so especially grateful for you guys taking the time to share the space with us. And we're
Yeah.
going to jump right in. So first, what I will have you do, babe, I'll have you introduce yourself, tell our audience a little bit about what you do, and then we'll introduce Shawn as well. So go for it.
Hey, I'm Randy Adkins. I'm an author, teacher, speaker, preacher, lifelong learner. I also am a software consultant, a distinguished Toastmaster, and of course, a father and husband to this great, wonderful woman. And it just enjoy life. I enjoy sharing and passing along good information for everyone who comes along this path, is walking this journey, that they can enjoy every part of this journey that we call life.
Wow, that was a lot. And usually people say, "So what don't you do?"
Right. That's a shorter list, right?
So that is my husband, Randy,
Oh.
in a nutshell. And we've been married for
28 years.
okay, you got it
Oh
right.
my
Just
goodness, so
making
beautiful.
sure. Just making sure.
I absolutely love that. I just love how you look at Randy when he's introducing himself. I can feel and see the endearment, and it's so good to learn more about you, Randy, because as you said, Toastmasters, I thought about Shawn. So I'm gonna turn it over to
Oh,
Shawn so he can introduce
yes.
himself.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Shawn Williams, consultant. I have a firm called W Consultants, small startup that does project management, business intelligence, finance, construction management, all that fun stuff.
Mhm.
Father of three, all
Mhm.
right, a blended family. Also a Toastmasters. I've been in
Uh-huh.
Toastmasters for a very long time and swear by
Oh,
Toastmasters, love it. We have been married for 1 year, going
Yeah.
on two in December. So we are newlyweds.
Oh my God. And at the same time, it feels like we've been married forever
Yeah.
in a good way, though.
in
I
a good
don't
way.
remember life without him. So.
Well, tell us a little bit, quick, like the origin story. Like, how did you guys meet?
Ooh. Well, see, that could be a loaded question because it depends on which version you want. So I'll try to give you the short version. So we met online on Facebook. Could you imagine that? And we
Yeah.
were both coming out of breakups. And for me, it was a very hurtful breakup. And I was just at the point where I was just like, okay, I'm not looking for a relationship anymore. But I do know that I believe in love. And so I said, God, just keep me open so I don't block the man that is for me. Right. And so literally, because this is how God is. The next day, I see a friend request from him, and I'm like, I don't even know who this is. Like, who is this guy?
But
So
did you say the very next day?
the next day, literally, so I laughed.
Wow.
God, you got a sense of humor, but okay, I hear you. So I literally looked at his pictures and I said, I love his smile. He seemed really kind and sweet, and the rest has been history.
The PG version, right?
The PG version,
It's,
yeah.
it's,
Oh, the
it's a great story. No, well, from my perspective, it was just so funny because growing up in New York, I came back to St. Croix, and while on St. Croix, she came up as a suggested friend request because I think I had like 15 whopping friends in St. Croix at the time, mutual friends. So I said, okay, all right, and just set the friend request, and she took about a week before she like accepted
We were
the
in Greece, girlfriend, so that was the delay. We were
oh,
in
that was
Greece
during
at
the
the
time.
time.
We're in Greece.
Sure. And how did y'all meet?
We met in college.
Oh,
College
Yes, we
sweethearts.
met in college.
Nice.
Again, it's like which story, the truth story or like the fabricated story. So yeah, so we're both from South Carolina. I lived in the upstate, which is about 3 hours away from Charleston, where we live now, and we were in African American Studies class together. And so I noticed him, and I was like, okay, cute. I want to kind of get to know him. And so I started like lingering after class, and then one day, I finally said something to him. I was like, I think this class is going to be hard. And you remember what you said?
I don't think it's going to be hard. And just kind of invited her to where I worked. I worked in the mall at the time at a shoe store and
oh,
shared that with her. But it's interesting because I always tell the story about this is we ended up meeting each other, but that wasn't what I wanted to happen. During that time,
mm,
I had failed a class and
oh,
had gotten dropped out of all of the classes for that
yeah.
semester.
Wow.
And I had to find multiple classes, and one of
Mhm.
them was this class.
Mm.
And so what looked like failure ended up being my life's destiny.
I was
And so
literally thinking that
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 would
was
be me.
supposed to be the path. Yes.
I mean, that's pretty much it. So once he told me where he worked, I clocked that and I was like, okay, so pulled
Uh-huh.
out the phone book,
Yeah, at
looked
the
up where
time,
he
right?
worked, and I called and he actually answered the phone at work and I got nervous and I hung up. And then I called back and I was like, do you guys have those new Jordans? And he was
Uh-huh.
like, Jordans? And I was like, okay, I'm just kidding. I'm in your class, but you don't know who I am. And he said, is this Sherlonda?
Oh, that is so sweet.
Yeah, yeah. So he had been paying attention to the professor calling my name as well. And so that's how we
Oh.
met.
After 28 years, so how would you describe your wife, Randy? If you could do it in like 3 words or more or less.
well, there are many words to describe her, but
Yes.
I would take a step back and just say that she's definitely one who is loving, very intelligent, and she cares. And it's one of those things that I've seen her live out over the years, whether it's with me, with family, with those that she's closest to, those that she's not closest to.
Mm,
And it's been a daily walk that she's continued to do every single day.
yeah.
Now, with that comes a lot of different areas that we have to continue to talk about, walk through, and look at.
Yeah.
But she's a pioneer. She started her own practice and
Yeah.
she continues to do those things that break the barriers and not live within a box.
I
Oh, you
love
know
that.
me well. Thank you.
Oh, how would you describe me, babe?
Yeah, how would I describe you?
Hmm.
Wow, knowing you for 3 years
Hmm.
total, and you're just absolutely just amazing. You're a very sweet, wonderful person.
Thank
I mean,
you.
even from the first time that we met,
Hmm.
even though I think I had asked you once before and you told me that you weren't available for valid reasons. I wasn't
He
too
asked me out. I
yeah.
declined the first time, but I was cuddling up with the boys.
Yeah, so I wasn't too sure if it was a brush off or not, but I'm glad I asked the second
I
time.
am too.
Right.
And from even from the very first time that I met you, I was just like, she's the one. I just knew it from the first time we met,
Mm.
and you just have not disappointed because you're just really you're just sweet, ambitious, loving,
Mhm.
caring, and I really dig that about you.
Aw, ditto, baby. Thank you.
Oh,
So
that's
sweet.
so
Oh
sweet.
my God.
Oh, I didn't know this was gonna just be so lovey-dovey. So I have a question, and
Mhm.
and both of you can start thinking about the answer to this question. But one of the similarities that Dr. K and I share is that we help women who are often going through difficult times, whether they're feeling stuck or whether they're needing help with business or wellness in general, fitness. But we pour out and we support people, and y'all have seen that. And I always think about it like my first ministry before I touch anybody, my first ministry is at home. So the questions that I have would be, what has our impact, like what you've seen us do for other people, how has that impacted you?
It's a good
Me to
question.
go first. I would say that it's definitely encouraging to see you get to see everything. So many people are only seeing the snapshot that you may see on social media
Mhm.
or pictures. However, as a spouse, you get to see the days when it may not be the greatest days. And even through that, you persevere. You continue to move forward. You continue to help others. You continue to pour out. And that is encouraging to see and to experience. And through that, there are triumphs. There are going to be triumphs in your life and triumphs in the lives of those that you're with. And so yeah, I'm encouraged and inspired by watching and being a part of it because it's not just watching you. You are
Mhm.
in the trenches together.
Kind of like how we're putting y'all in the trenches tonight doing this.
This
Right.
is fun. I have a podcast, so I love it.
I was thinking about that too when I called him. I said, "Babe, don't forget we're recording." Oh, yes. So we're camping next week, and he's working on things for the business. I'm working on things for the business. So, it feels so integrated, but it's beautiful to be supported in that way. So thanks for that, love. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What is it like for you?
I would have to say that you've just been fighting the good fight for women. And I
Mm,
have to say that I appreciate that. Um, One thing I have to say is that I've always had respect for women. Um, I grew up with a lot of women, with my
mhm,
mom, my aunts, um, my sisters, and even having a daughter, right? So
mhm,
I know how important it is for, especially, I have to admit, in this, male-dominated society, we need people who are going to represent women because there just needs to be a balance, right?
mhm,
I truly and honestly feel that the reason why we are in the situation we are today in this world, and this is just my my point of view, is just that there's imbalance,
mhm,
and I think that you are doing your best to tip that scale and keep it in
mhm.
balance.
To
So
bring them out.
absolutely,
We went to
Yeah.
Egypt in December, and so that was one
yeah.
of our favorite
Oh yeah,
takeaways, the ma'at and the balance and the harmony.
yeah.
So,
Everything is balanced.
yeah.
It really is.
Having said that, do you all ever feel like you're in session? Because, sometimes it can be hard to leave maybe for us to leave the hat at the door and, the coat at the door. Do you all ever feel like you're in session, in conversation?
No, I can't say that.
Mhm.
Not really. I think that at first when we were dating, yeah, you're putting that you're putting me on that,
Psychology hat
yeah, on that leather couch, and I know because
Literally on the couch.
on the couch.
it felt that way. It was based on the questions and the way how she would ask the questions, right? So, her tone changed, her position changed. So I knew that I knew I was I was sitting on that couch
Yeah.
and being scrutinized. But other than that, no, I think that you've been doing a really good job in turning it on, turning it off.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that is true because I definitely take off, I think, all the hats and I'm very open and raw. Like Randy was saying so kindly in the beginning, right? Like I definitely he gets the good. There's no bad, but the good, the not so good, and everything in between, right? All hats kind of come off at the door and I get to be my raw self. So I thank you for like creating a home space where I can be my full self, because I never feel like I'm being judged or have to worry about
Mhm.
how is he going to see me if I'm having a very
Yeah.
human non-doctor moment. And so that's always really special to have that in our home space. Yeah.
Fine. What about you? Do you feel like you've ever been sitting on my proverbial couch?
No, because you didn't start off as a doctor. You had multiple careers throughout our time. We started off as friends, and as we continued to learn each other, we have definitely learned about allowing ourselves to have space to actually speak out raw thoughts and funny things that you wouldn't say in front of everybody, which is cool because you need that in life, right? It's one of those things I feel that you do well. We talk about those things, and even though you and the children may laugh at me because I say stuff that's completely off the wall sometimes,
Yeah, that's true. No lies being told.
but I won't say you don't do that either. But we will
Right. Everybody takes
But
turns.
we give each other that space, and so
Yes.
no, you do really well with this listening, and we listen to each other and
Yeah.
support each other in those spaces.
Yeah, and I remember when we started doing that, it was probably, I can remember it was somewhere during pandemic because we were like riding around because things were closed. And I remember, talking about something that was very like difficult for me. And I was like, this is just raw, like it's not even processed. I'm just talking. And you
Mhm.
were like, go ahead. And I
Yeah.
remember like from that moment on saying like these are just raw thoughts and having
Mhm.
freedom, knowing that it was a safe space, non-judgmental, and that because when you're talking to people in public, like even as we're on this
Yeah.
podcast, you're kind of processing, you want to make sure you're sounding intelligent and that your thoughts
Mhm.
are coherent and what you're thinking is coming out, you're
Yeah.
articulating it. But sometimes it's like
Right.
and he catches it.
You know what I mean, kind of thing. Yes.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
found that sometimes it's just good just to listen, right? There is
Yeah.
no words or things that you can say to change the situation, but sometimes
Yeah.
it's just processing the
Mhm.
information and whatever's going on at the time. And
Yeah.
many times I found that each of us has our own answers
Yeah.
anyways. We just need to talk it out, and it's great
Yeah.
to have that space.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because I feel like our core values are very much the same, but the way that we go about doing things can be very, very
Very
different.
different.
So it leaves
Yeah.
a lot of good pillow talk, conversation, and dialogue. And okay, well, that's that perspective. Well, what do you say to this? But it's beautiful to hear, to listen to the conversation, because I feel like a lot of what we do for other people, it just feels like our husbands are doing for us. And so I never really thought about that until we started talking about it out loud. So thanks, babe.
Well,
Yeah, being able to
Yeah.
have those conversations with those raw thoughts is so important in order to, for us to be able to pour back into others. So I love that you all have that safe space amongst each other too.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of different
Yeah.
lens, have
Hmm.
different point of view, and not to say one is right over the other or better than the other, but just having those different perspectives can just certainly just shine a light and make things I don't know, well,
Yeah.
simpler, easier, or
Yeah.
just more insightful.
Yeah. Would you say that the work has influenced your own mental health? Like, what is that like for you, for both of you as men? Like, what does wellness mean to you all? I wonder if you all define it a little bit differently than maybe we do in our space. So, what is
Hmm.
it? What is that like, and how do you define that? And how do you maintain your own mental wellness as you support these
Question.
powerful Black women over here?
And I'm excited to hear this answer because
Yeah.
traditionally, when you think about wellness, like mental health and wellness, you
Yeah.
tend to think of, at least some of the practices, you think of spa, you think of
Right.
like a lot of the
Exactly.
girly things. So I am interested in hearing from our
Ditto.
husbands
Mhm.
what wellness looks like.
Yeah. Ditto.
So for me, I would say wellness has to do with it's a full balance. So as you heard, I do many different things, and I
Mhm.
believe having that kind of balance in life. When so waking up in the morning, I'm usually up before everyone else, and I'm reading something or praying about something. And during that quiet time in that space, I'm able to center who I am and what's going on at the time, and get my answers from my source and from
Mhm.
my God at that time. Additionally, exercise at least twice a week. I go to the gym, and uh, that's very great from a physical perspective to continue to have the mental capacity to do those things. And then, of course, the work, enjoying the work that I do, and doing that is always fun. Then, on an emotional front, we already talked about it. Having the space to have the conversations, to be able to speak and share and understand what life is really about, and enjoying life, and that every day, regardless of what it is, the choice is mine to make, to have a choice in relationships, have a choice in the work you're doing, have a choice in how you show up in all places that and people that you speak with. And I'm deeply one that is focused on making sure I have a spiritual balance, have a balance in my soul, which means I have mental thoughts and feeding the right things within my life, and then physical balance in what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as you were talking, I was thinking about how having multiple things in itself can be a wellness strategy
Mhm.
because sometimes if you're just doing one thing all the time, you can get burned out from doing
Right.
it, or you get bored. And
Right.
I want to talk about that too, because with
Yeah.
these gifted women, we have these gifted minds, right? And so
Lord,
our
my
minds are
computer
all,
tabs
we're
are
always
evidence of
creating.
it. Yeah.
And I want to put a pin in that and come back and ask, how do y'all support women who are
Yeah.
always like, oh, ideas, but I think that's also from what I've observed over the years is that you seem to thrive when you're able to do different things. When the kids were smaller, being able to help out with the basketball team when you were coaching the basketball team, and helping teach like the Vacation Bible School and different things. So as you were talking, I said, that's a strategy too in itself. Some people would look at it and say, well, it sounds like you're doing so many things, but you're not doing them all in one day.
Right. Right.
So,
It's diversified.
Being impactful, I think, is the key in whatever you're doing, making sure it's meaningful.
Yeah. What about you, babe?
Wellness.
Hmm.
Well, I have to say that in the past couple of years, there's just been so many changes in my life,
Yeah.
right? From moving from the divorce, separation, leaving New York, coming to St. Croix, new career, right? New marriage, uh, more children. It's just been a lot. So where I felt in the past where wellness for me was where I worked out, a lot and I was a little bit more relaxed. My brain is just always constantly moving. There's just a lot of things that I'm thinking. Um, but I think the most important piece has been it's just been more wisdom, I have to say, to know what's really important, what's not important, what to pursue, what not to pursue. Um, I feel I can be a little bit more rounded, right? With a little bit more balance and working out and well, I eat well,
You
right?
do.
Because
Oh
I
my
am a
God.
vegan.
He eats very well. He eats well enough for both of us, you know.
Spiritually, spiritually, I have that alignment. I just wish that there can be more of a community.
Community.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
that's what's lacking is the community, especially for, what I practice. So there's those challenges. But for me, the wellness has really been more of just the wisdom and just understanding, well, what's truly important and what's not important. And
Mhm.
that's been my foundation.
Yeah. I would add,
yes.
as you were talking, Randy, I was thinking for him, I thought your first one was going to be financial.
Oh, fine.
Doing a good budget. That's his stress relief. He's a
Yeah.
numbers guy. And so
I-
where that stresses me out is like I have peace where I know we have savings, I know where our investments are. So I was going to say that's part of your wellness.
Yeah, that's part of my wellness. I am a personal financial coach, right? And when we talk about debt, so the debt has been something that we've been managing pretty well, no credit cards and just nothing major other than school loans that, dealing with thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to add too, if I can, and sometimes, this is good because sometimes we, having that outside perspective, people see things in you that you don't always see. So I was going to add for your wellness, um, your brotherhood. Like you have
Oh,
like
yeah.
that is, and I recognize it, I guess, because with girlfriendism, like the sisterhood is so important and friendship is so important.
Right.
And I see that. I think that's one of the ways that we connect and one of the ways that I'm able to do what I do is because he values what I do because he also values it in his own way. So the brotherhood
Yeah,
is something that I feel like you lean in on for your wellness. And then you're
absolutely.
always reading.
Yeah.
Like he's always like, I'm studying. I'm like, what is happening? I'm studying. He's very focused. And I think that's part of your wellness is just
Yeah, I
learning.
love to
Yeah.
learn. I
Yeah.
certainly love to learn. And yeah, going back on with the brotherhood, with
Hmm.
the fraternity. So I'm a Sigma, and next month is going to be 32, 33. There's been so many years.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And, it's just something that I've always been devoted to. I've taken a lot from the organization and I've given a lot to the organization. It's just been a real symbiotic. It's just been beautiful, with the brotherhood, just from I'm still connected from my college years to the brothers, even to the first graduate chapter when I was in Queens and Long Island and here on St.
Is there
Croix.
a chapter there as
Yeah,
well?
yeah,
Hmm.
we have.
I didn't even know it was
Awesome.
a thing because I'm like, didn't
Absolutely.
know nothing about sororities, fraternities, and there were always these superstitions about it. So I was like, Lord have mercy, here I go. Like that's what I said, the polar opposites, right? So
Right.
now I'm learning all about this world, whereas they're trying to pull me in. I'm like, child.
Divine Nine.
But it's been beautiful to see those connections over the years and just to see like
Right.
how that has been a support for his wellness, especially making that transition right to a new place, not knowing anybody.
Mhm.
That's how we met, was because we had friends in common. And so that was part of him building a whole new
Right.
life and being able to just meet people that, are part of this organization that he didn't know, but now they're automatically brothers, right?
Yeah,
So that I have seen that, witnessed
absolutely.
that for you too.
And you know
So
what? You're
mhm,
gonna realize it when you
mhm.
become a Zeta how
That's
Zeta
right.
and girlfriend are so similar.
You just threw that in
Yeah,
there.
we got to go back to the wellness conversation. So we're not going to talk about the days right now. We're going to go back to you being slick.
Gosh, I love that. I love how you just slid that in there. And
Uh-huh.
before that next question, I was just going to say where you were talking about like the wisdom and that being part of your wellness, because when you have more wisdom, you utilize less mental energy to
Yeah.
make decisions and to flow through life. So yeah, I can see like, a correlation between increasing in wisdom and wellness increasing as well. So as you were saying, I was thinking about that. So of course, being married to, because y'all said it in your own words that we're just like so brilliant and we are making waves and trailblazing and doing these wonderful things. And so because you get to watch up close and personal, sometimes literally seeing thoughts coming from our minds and seeing us create, improve, revive, all these things. Um, what is it like for you in terms of have you ever wanted to just say, babe, can you chill? Can you calm down? Or from my perspective, it looks like you always cheer me on, but does it ever seem like it's a lot? And before you answer that question, because I meet so many brilliant women, a lot of brilliant Black women, and sometimes it's not really celebrated. Sometimes it can be like, well, you're flighty, or you can never just stick to one thing. And I had that problem before. You remember I went through my thing of, why is it that like after about 3 years I'm wanting to do something different? And I thought it was a flaw.
But you're
And
always
it was
evolving. Yeah.
right, always
Mhm.
evolving. And then you see new problems, you see new opportunities. And now it's a superpower. Like I get it now, but at one point, because I did not have a mentor
Yeah.
that told me that that was okay. So
Yeah.
in you, Shawn, and you're looking at Dr. K, you're looking at me and you're saying all these different things. What is it like to support us, like to
Mhm.
support a
Ooh,
brilliant mind? Because I know it's not always easy, and you can be
yeah.
honest.
No, honestly, it's not difficult because I guess again going back to my understanding of life, I'm looking outside, I'm looking at a tree, and the same tree that's out there right now is not going to be the same tree that's out there a year from now. In
Mm,
fact, the leaves will be different and they will not be the same leaves because it's a consistent growth.
yeah.
And so the thoughts, the ideas, it's just great if you have the resources and the conversation and communications to allow for that to happen. As you know, I support you in all that you do. And as we make choices and we had to make decisions as we were raising the children, we made those decisions that we needed to make at those times. And for me, I'm just here to support in that area. And as we continue to grow in our specific things that we have gifting in,
Yeah.
and we end up moving in the same direction, God is continuing to bless each of it. So I don't have a problem with it.
Aw,
Okay.
I
I
love
thank
that.
you. I appreciate that. And I remember as you were talking when we both worked when we graduated from college and we both were working full time. Actually, my first full-time job, I had a big girl job. I was working at State Farm, so a Fortune 500 company. I got
Right.
an internship and then they offered me a full-time job when I graduated. So I was a claims adjuster.
Yeah.
And then we had our first child.
Mm,
And we were like, we don't really want to put her in daycare. And so I went to my boss and I asked, because we had just got these things called laptops. We were like, oh, laptops, they're portable. So I had this idea again, like I'm
yes.
creative and I'm thinking, I see like there's this problem I have and here's a solution. Can
Yeah.
I pick up this computer and take it home and maybe a couple of days a week work from home? And he said, like out of the office? I said, yeah. He said, no,
Oh my
no, you
goodness.
can't
And
do
look at
that.
the way of the world now.
No, you can't do that. So we made a decision. Shawn, we pulled out the budget and
Yeah.
we looked at the budget and we said,
It was negative next time.
negative, if we're going to go from two incomes to one,
Yeah, it's
it
tough.
doesn't look like it's going to work. But that was what we felt we were led to do at the time. And you were making a little more money than I was at the time, so it made sense for me to stay home. And we had to cut a lot of things. We cut
Yeah.
cable. We stopped. We looked at how much money we were spending going out to eat on the weekends, and we made those changes so that I would be able to stay home. And that's when it all kind of started. And from there, for the next, 20 years, it was always this, well, do I go back into the workforce? Do I work a little bit? And that allowed me, like, that freedom, that support allowed me to try my hand at so many different things
Yeah.
and say, okay, like, yeah, I can be creative if I want to go teach for a little bit, or if I want to go and, and do this. And so I thank you for that support and for never making me feel like you're doing too much. Because sometimes I felt that way, but
Yeah.
he never said it. And I didn't trust him at first. I was like, baby, I mean, you sure you're okay? He's like, yes,
Aw.
yes, you're good.
I
Go
love
for it.
that. I'm so grateful because one, I love that you all had those conversations and made those decisions together. But then two, I'm also listening to you and I'm like, yeah, we got really awesome husbands because this one, in addition to his, making this major adjustment, I also made a major adjustment in golfinism and completely shifting the structure of the business last year. And so, that took me from, what I call in my mastermind, my Hello Seven mastermind, from a Hello Four, someone making six figures, damn near to a Hello One, because I'm starting from scratch and figuring
Yeah.
this out
Mhm.
completely, like reinventing. And this
Mhm.
beautiful human being right here has just been like, it's going to take time for you to figure this out, to, be creative. And he's always giving me the space and the opportunity to do that and still jumping in and saying, okay, well, I created this AI thing because I'm so like not with the technology. I'm trying, he's like this AI thing. I'm like, babe, I don't know nothing about no AI. He's like, right, that's why I did it.
Oh,
So it's so beautiful to see and to hear and to witness and to listen to that because I think that's where partnerships are so beautiful. And that's why for me, my prayer is always, God, please let girlfriend isn't make enough money where I could retire my husband. So that way
yes.
business could take care of both of us and none of us don't have to be working so hard. So thank you too, babe. I
Of
really do
course.
appreciate that.
I think, the important thing is, at the end of the day, no regrets, no matter
Yeah.
what, is that, you have the opportunity to try,
Mhm.
and not in the end say, well, I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd done that. I think
Mhm.
that is more than anything real important.
Yeah, absolutely. How is it dealing with my 50 million sparks in my brain?
You know, I learned so much just looking at her web browser.
Right, I know. I told y'all something you said, Randy, and I was like, yeah, all of the tabs on my computer.
It,
Yeah,
it,
that definitely represents
yeah,
the ton of ideas.
the hundreds and thousands of emails unread that.
Yeah, but he breaks that balance because he is very organized. He has a folder for everything. Everything's on his calendar. And I, on the other hand, and a lot of times he'll ask me, so what are the metrics? What are what do you call that word? Projections. And I'm like, babe, there are no projections. This is my intuition. It's saying that this needs to be the shift right now, and
Lies from
usually
the
it's
hip.
right, but he definitely grounds me in that way. So I think he, adds
Love that.
balance for sure to my many sparks. It's helping me to also have that logic in the way I approach business. So thank
It
you.
sounds like, I mean, it's a perfect partnership. It's a perfect
Yeah.
partnership. Oh wow, this has been so amazing. So just a couple more questions for you. What would you say have been some of the biggest challenges in your relationship? Here we're going to just kind of dive in and talk a little bit about marriage and relationships. So either one of you can start off, but let us hear from you.
Mhm.
So I would say the one of the biggest challenges, especially as you're getting married, is bringing in multiple households into things. It could be little things like, what toothpaste are you using? Or it can be bigger, it could be bigger things,
Yeah.
of how you actually approach situations. And remember you wanted me to, give you a bubble bath every night and every day because that's what you
That
saw
was on the
on TV.
stories. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so those are some of the things that we, learned that we had to come up with our own way of doing things. And as time went on, we continue to have those conversations of what is the Randy and Shalonda way, not which households we came from.
Mhm.
And we had to start to unlearn those things from our parents and from the way we saw things maybe on television and bring that into the relationship. That way, you can have a clean slate of truly having conversations and having a conversation of, well, what do you think that's supposed to be like? And we probably are coming at it at two different angles, and we do end up learning from each other in those spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely can say like unlearning some of the things that we saw. For me, it was conflict resolution. Like what I saw modeled
Yeah.
for conflict resolution was not beneficial for our marriage. Yeah,
Right.
so
Yeah.
it took some time, and it wasn't a little bit of time. It took some time over years for me to, be able to learn that it's okay to not agree, and that if you, get into like the little, he doesn't argue, by the way, which it was usually me, but that it was okay, that it didn't mean that this relationship was over. Because sometimes growing up, I would see two people get into an argument and they were like,
Right.
well, bump you, and then
You're
we're not
right.
talking.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so because of that, I was like, well, I don't want to confront. Like if there's something that's bothering me, I don't
Right.
really want to be confrontational, because if we get into like an argument, then what does that mean? So it was a lot of unlearning, like the
Yeah.
fear of being able to confront and just say, well, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Um, and definitely like what you said about learning to do things our way, because sometimes when we solicited the opinions and wisdom of other people, that
Mhm.
didn't serve us well either.
And what we have to remember is that no one knows everything about your life,
Right.
regardless. In fact, this relationship is going to know more about each other, and we still don't know everything when we're not together. That everything that you go through, even if you talk about it, there's still experiences that we
Mhm.
all end up having. And when someone is trying to provide you advice or information, they don't have the whole story.
Right.
And so you can take in as much information. And I remember, the older people would tell us that you would either take in the meat and spit out the bones.
Right.
So then that way you understand that you can listen to what other people have to say, but that's not going to be everything that you take in and actually implement in your life.
Yeah. What do you think that our challenges have been, babe, or has been challenging for you?
So we are newlyweds.
Hmm.
We've never had any arguments that were serious. The only debate I think we had was we just noticed some things in politics that we don't,
Uh-huh.
we don't discuss. Other than that, it's just been really smooth sailing. It's been compromise. And I think that again, it's going back to, what's really important, what's not important. And a lot of times, if there's something that I think that we feel strong for or against, usually we can make amends,
Hmm.
and or if there's something that I think we educate each other
Hmm.
on how or what we want, or what we how we see things, so that there's some understanding. I don't think that there's anything that we want that's crazy,
Hmm.
or just, way out where we're having, any issues. But I think we always come to a happy medium.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And what I have to say that I recognize with the both of you, because you just said it, Sharlanda, he doesn't argue either. And I think that helps because depending on what
Yes.
we're talking about, if it's politics, if it's feminism, if it's sexual assault, if it's anything, if it's guns, anything like that, I'm like a very strong opinions. But and I might get feisty and I can feel like my heart rate increasing, and he'll say, mm-hmm. And so I have no choice but to just bring it down about three notches.
Calm
Right,
down.
calm it down. So I think that definitely helps, and then we're also at very different stages, and so we're a blended family, and a lot of the conversations and dialogues that happen in relationships a lot of times come around children. And so we're able to kind of skip that part at this phase of our marriage a little bit.
Yeah, it is. It's different, but it's
Mhm.
there. Certainly we do
Yeah.
have, an older child, and then we
Mhm.
have two young ones that we're raising. And
Mhm.
yeah, that's always at the forefront too. Yeah.
But I think it helps that our core values are the same. Like I
Mhm.
said, we can look at it differently, but at the end of the day, there are certain things that we just hold very true. That's foundational. So that definitely helps with navigating, because there are always challenges, but I feel like it's just how we navigate it feels
Right.
um ease. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And what I've heard too in this conversation, the words that come to mind is like equally yoked, like you mentioned
Mhm.
before. You do
Yeah,
different things, like your creative expression varies, but you're bound together
right.
by these fundamental core values. But when you listen, so both of you, you're entrepreneurs, you're, compassionate people, you're the businesses that you have, they are to help people, empower people, get people to elevate, rise to a higher level. So it's really, you're kind of doing the same thing,
That's
but
true.
not,
That's a
and
different
as opposed,
perspective.
Yeah. And, just like you said, when you started, all the different things that you do, like we match well together. And so I think that it would be very difficult if you had someone who was just like, nope, this is my one thing I'm doing, and
Mhm.
I'm just going to ride it out. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm
Right,
just saying. And
right.
then you have somebody who's the mind that's going, and the creative person. That sounds like that could be draining for
Yeah,
one or the
yeah.
other, because you
Or
could have the
create a
person
disconnect.
who's, yeah, a disconnect, because I'm coming, I'm like, oh, I got all these things. You're like, oh, something else.
Right,
No, let's just chill. And so that's not our situation. But
right.
what advice would you have? Because there may be some people who are listening to this, some men, and they're like, okay, I see my wife, my partner in these women, and this is how my person is. But maybe they are struggling to try to find out where they fit
Yeah.
in her life. They may feel like they're not in the spotlight, they're behind the scenes, or that she's just taking up so much space. What type of advice would you offer to a man who may be feeling that, or feeling disconnected from their wife or partner,
Yeah.
the brilliant mind of a doctor, woman of God?
Well, I would initially just say for anyone that is supporting someone or looking at it, the help of a beautiful black doctor as yourself, that we would really focus on making sure that you understand who you are. So I can't support you unless I know I am happy with who I am. And I believe that many times that if we look external to ourselves and we are always trying to find out where we fit, then you don't understand who you are. You don't understand how you fit within yourself and in this world. If you find that purpose, you find that meaning in your life,
Mhm.
then it's easy to support all of those that are around you. Many times, the shortcomings that you see in others are really the shortcomings you see in
Mhm.
yourself.
Mhm.
So, if we work on ourselves, if it needs to be that you need to have a therapist, then go get a therapist and talk through what you need to talk through. If you need to truly start to focus on finding out what your gifting is in this world and why you are here, because we have to remember that you're here for a reason.
Mhm.
Part
Mhm.
of it is going to be your relationship. That's a choice that you're making every day. Every day you wake up, you're making a choice to be in a relationship.
Mhm.
You don't have to, because anything we do out of obligation is going to cause us to have some level of really probably some type of question or uncertainty to it. So when we find out who we are, so men, you got to find out who you are. You got to find out where you stand in life and be able to produce that in everything that you do. And when we focus on that and we understand that and we stand in that, then you're not going to feel small at all. You're going to feel like you're doing what you need to do, and then you can support all of those that are around you, because there's going to be more than just your wife. If it's family, if it's children, if it's everyone else, then you'll have the capacity to be able to pass it on. But if you don't have that, you're not going to have the capacity, and that's sometimes what the key is there are different times in our lives we may not have as much capacity, but we need to be able to identify that and go and work through that for ourselves
Yeah.
before we can say we're going to support someone else.
That's good. So work on yourself.
Work on yourself.
Work on
That was
yourself.
good.
Good advice.
Randy, I couldn't say it any
I
better.
know,
I
right?
mean, that was really, really good. And definitely. The only thing I would add is just again, for me, it's balance, right? Having that time to make sure that with that busy schedule, with everything going on, and both parties, that there's time for each other, right?
Mhm.
And that there's no just making time. Making time is really important. I think that's very, very key.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Mhm.
Prioritizing the relationship.
You guys are amazing. And
Oh,
see, and
Dr.
that's why
Husband.
we can do what we can do, because we have the support, and now we get to share with the world a little piece of our reality. You
Yeah.
all are dreams that are reality. And I guess before we let you go, because Shawn, you mentioned your business. Can you tell us, where people can find you for your business? And then Randy, you can tell people where to find you for your podcast or book or whatever, however you want to. We'll give y'all some space.
All right. So my business is W Consultant. It's Dubya consultant. Everyone asks the W. Well, that's even a funny story,
I
right?
know they think our last name is W. That's just
Yeah.
his version
I
of
thought that
W for
before.
short. I know. I can't tell you how many emails I get where it's, "Hi, Dr. W," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's a Facebook name. It's actually Williams, but
Yeah.
he has it in the business name too."
So it's like Shawn W. Yeah. So the services that I offer, again, it's project management services, financial coaching. I also help small businesses with their finances, construction management, and then also I've been moving into the area of helping small businesses build AI solutions. So
Mhm.
that's something that I've been diving in since I do have a bit of a technical background with the project management and solutions architect.
Yeah.
Girl, you're married good.
You
Look.
know what I'm saying? Yeah, I ain't never let him go.
So thank you for sharing it, because it's important that we let our audience know, that our men are brilliant too. It's not just us, we
Absolutely.
have brilliant men.
Absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
right, Randy.
Yeah, everyone can check out my website, which is www.randyadkinsjr.com. There you can check out my podcast, which is called Produce on Purpose, or you could also get my book, which is Produce on Purpose, Experience Life Being the Real You, where we discuss and talk about life, talk about how you can live a life that is fulfilling, a life that is full of purpose, and one that you can enjoy life every single day, not wake up and just dread doing what you do, but how can I practically live this on a consistent basis? So that's where you can find me.
All right,
That is
wonderful.
so awesome. Oh my gosh. Well,
Nice.
husbands, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. It
Thank
was
you for having
so
us.
insightful.
Yeah.
I think I'm leaving with an even greater appreciation for what we have and just loving what you all have as well. And, I think we're leaning into a whole other topic for another episode on just, keeping that love and the hope for love alive, y'all, because you see,
Yeah.
it's very, very
Yeah.
possible. So, that'll be another episode for another day. But guys, thank you so much.
Yes, we appreciate y'all
Yes.
so much. Thank you.
Oh.
Aw.
The lipstick.
Oh man.
She always does that to me.